listening to the First City Lax podcast, brought to you every week from the Florida Panhandle. Coach John and Coach JP explore the best and worst of lacrosse on the Gulf Coast, so strap your helmets on and let's go.
And welcome back to the First City Lacrosse podcast, the second best lacrosse podcast on the planet. And today is a very special day. This is a very special pod. I've got two of my favorite players on the planet, Brayden and Kieran Reich. And these are my own two boys, but they've got a special story to tell. So without further ado, Brayden and Kieran, welcome to the pod. I am happy to have you here. Thank you for being willing to join, despite the fact that you really didn't have much of a choice. How are you guys?
Thanks for asking. This is going to be really cool. We were both really excited to do this just because, talking about this stuff doesn't really happen like super naturally. So you kind of having this forced on us, I think, was good.
I like your answer. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Actually, don't tell me. I know all about you, but tell everybody listening a little bit about yourselves.
So I'm Kieran. I'm a freshman at Northwest Nazarene University. This is, I think, my 9th year playing lacrosse. So been around it a pretty long time.
Yep. I'm Bray. I play also at NNU. This is my 3rd year in college. This is my 2nd year at NNU. I played my 1st year at a school in Colorado called Adams State, and just decided I didn't really want to be there any longer. The coaching staff was kind of toxic, and the environment wasn't really what I was looking for. So I made the move up to Northwest Nazarene, and it's been great ever since.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you said that about toxic coaching. We are going to touch on that potentially a little bit later because it's such an important part of the game as far as your coaching staff and how it affects players. But okay, so talk to me or talk to us a little bit about some of your past, like how you started. What did you do, and how you got into lacrosse in general.
Yeah, sure. But we started playing lacrosse because whenever we moved to Florida, Trey was playing it, our older brother. And I don't know how Peanut was at first, but at the start, I just did not want to play at all. Like, I thought it was the stupidest thing. So I grabbed a stick and would fool around at the practices. But I just thought it was so dumb. And I was like, I'm never going to play this sport. I'm going to go pro in baseball anyways. So after playing, just being around it so much made me want to start playing. So I played 1 year and it was great. And so I was like, I'm quitting everything else and I'm only going to play lacrosse. And so I started playing, and I was playing long stick defense, close defense. And I played that for like a year or two. And then I got moved to long stick midfield just because we needed more bodies running up and down the field. It's really hard to get guys going, especially at that young age. That was like in 14U, I think, whenever I started playing LSM. And then during that 14U season, I also started playing short stick midfield, so getting on offense more, doing some more stuff there, and I really loved playing offense. And then, so went to high school after that at West Florida. And freshman year, I played JV, and as soon as I went to West Florida, I was an attackman. And I played attack all 4 years at West Florida. I played JV my freshman year, and then I was on varsity for my sophomore, junior, and senior season. And my junior season is when I really started thinking college lacrosse, this is something that I could do if I just keep pushing myself and keep trying to get better. And then senior year comes around, we go on a couple visits to a couple of schools, and it was Adams State from the jump. I think I just wanted kind of a change of scenery, kind of wanted a good first experience in school, which Adams State did offer. But like I said, it was just the coaching that ended that. And so whenever I started playing at NNU, my coach, Coach Tom Oddie, he switched me immediately to playing midfield. And so last year, for my first season, I was playing midfield the whole year, and we ended up making it to the national tournament in Texas. Won our first round game against UNC Charlotte, and then lost in the second round to Air Force in a pretty embarrassing fashion. But we're coming back.
It wasn't that bad. I thought it was pretty competitive.
It felt closer than it was.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and remind me to come back to that because there's a story about, how you said, I don't really know how I started playing, how I got on the team, but I remember specifically how that happened. But before we go there, Kieran, let's hear your version real quick. And then we'll go, once you do that, I'll talk about how I saw it from a parent's perspective. And then we're going to go into some rapid fire stuff.
Yeah, so my lacrosse story kind of started out the same. Trey, of course, playing it, and me just kind of looking up to him. I wanted to be more like him, have something in common with him, because me and Brayden, of course, we're closer in age, so we're going to have a little bit more in common. But me and Trey were just so different, so I felt like if I picked up the stick with him, then be able to share something together. But unlike Brayden, I did want to play from when we first picked up the stick. Kind of already getting tired of baseball and football, but stuck around with baseball for a couple more years. And then, like Bray, I decided just wanted to do lacrosse all year round, go to all those different tournaments instead of doing all the baseball stuff. And then I started out playing midfield, mostly doing face-offs. And I did face-offs up until freshman year of high school. And after freshman year, I got switched to attack. Played attack since then. Me and Brayden, obviously got to spend his junior, senior season together, my freshman, sophomore. So that was pretty cool to experience. Glad to be doing it again up at NMU. So.
Yep. Yeah, and I will tell you this from a parent's perspective, watching you guys do that. Do you remember your coach's name?
It was Coach Eric at Perdido.
Coach Ray?
Coach Ray. Yeah. So yeah. Coach Ray, you guys, so they were having a practice and we were there. Trey was practicing, and then Coach Ray looked over, saw you guys throwing the ball, and you weren't catching anything. It was, your throws were all over the place. It was it was disgusting, right? But everybody starts somewhere. And Coach Ray, he yelled at you guys from across the field because he was a solid 150 yards away, maybe more.
I remember him. His voice would just cut through the air.
Yeah, he had a boomer for a voice, but he told you guys, he yelled at everybody on that practice field heard it. He said, if you guys are going to play this game, you're going to do it right. And he brought you onto the team and you guys started playing, and that was it. So I appreciated Coach Ray. He was a great example. And I thought a great first coach for you guys to have.
Absolutely.
And just so everyone listening knows, I think Coach Ray was a Naval Academy graduate.
Yeah.
And just a super, super guy. And he related well to the kids and to the parents, and his coaching methodologies were just spot on. So really liked him, appreciated him. Okay, let's hit some rapid fires and then we'll talk lacrosse. What books are you guys reading right now other than your textbooks? And I hope you're reading books. You're not reading any books?
I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm reading the Bible.
Okay.
It is for my class. I'm going to say that. But this is the first time, I've had to read the Bible before, not by choice, growing up through church and stuff. Mm-hmm. But this is my first time reading the story and understanding why each key part is important. So we just finished up the Old Testament and we started up the New Testament this week.
And that's part of your curriculum in one of your classes, right? Okay.
It is, yeah, because NNU is Northwest Nazarene. It's a Christian-sponsored university, so you have to take theology type courses.
That's good. Awesome. Expand your horizons a little bit. What about you, Kieran?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off that. The last book I read was the Bible. I've already finished it. I took an 8-week course to just try and open up my schedule a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So, not textbook. Yeah, that's the last book I read.
What about podcasts? You guys listening to any podcasts right now? You have a favorite?
Yeah, I have a few that I listen to, and it's kind of nice because one of the ones I listen to drops on Tuesday and Thursday. There's another one on Wednesday, and then there's another one that they're not really regular, but they post a lot. And so one of them is called Bussin' with the Boys. It's with 2 retired NFL players.
Okay.
So they just chop it up and mess around and just stuff like that. And they talk football. So I love talking football. And so just listen to it. It's a lot of fun. Then
That's
I
awesome.
also listened to another one with one retired NFL player, one current NFL player, New Heights, and I think he listens to that too.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool one because they kind of cover everything. They can get serious when you need to, but there's also like some comedy and talking ball, obviously. And
Right.
then the last one I listen to is the Pivot podcast, and it's from those retired NFL guys again: Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder, and
like
theirs is a lot more serious, and it addresses more direct concerns and like things that go on with athletes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good information in there for pretty much whatever you're going through as an athlete.
Nice. Anything else,
I
Kieran?
guess for podcasts, I'm really only listening to New Heights. They've just like made so many episodes that I have not gotten to the bottom of it yet to try and like find a new one.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, man. Just make content and people will stay there for as long as it takes. Awesome. So who's your favorite players right now? Pro, college? And I'm
Brayden
thinking
Garnsey.
lacrosse specifically, but if you don't have one, you can name any player on the planet.
Brayden Garnsey, Attack, California Redwoods.
Okay.
Deemer class, he's retired. Duke, Blue Devil, and then he went on to play for, I forgot which MLL team, and then he played for the Chaos with Miles Jones.
Yeah, who lives in our area.
I took a picture with Miles Jones one time. I was reffing, and I looked very dumb, but
I'm gonna try to get him on the podcast too. He's a little tougher to nail down.
That's a big fish.
Yeah, I think I can talk.
I think you got it.
I have his number in my phone. I can call him, but he probably won't answer.
That's hard. That's cool.
Okay. Speaking of those players, what player have you tried to pattern your style of play after? Both of you are attackmen, so it would make sense that it's an attackman, but is it?
So mine is this guy right here. Taught me everything I knew in high school. So I just tried to do exactly what he told me. And I'm still trying to do that.
But that worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah. You could say.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I like it. What about you, Brayden?
So if you talk to any one of my close friends or literally anyone that hears me talk about lacrosse, they will know that I am the biggest Brendan O'Neill hater that has ever walked the earth. I hate Brendan O'Neill. I don't think he's good at lacrosse, but one thing that he does really well,
I'm gonna have to get him on the podcast now.
One thing that he does really well that I started doing that's helped me a lot is whenever he would go to shoot, he always drops his hands super low so that he has to bring them back up to get like a full extension on the shot. That was something that I was like really struggling with, especially for me. So this is kind of like, I'm a right-handed player. I've been a righty like my entire career, but these past 2 years at NNU, I have only been able to shoot with my left hand. I cannot shoot righty like worth a dang. My left hand has been so much more consistent, so much better. And so I've really focused like over the summer trying to get better with my right hand. And at the start, Audie, our coach, he was trying to work with me on changing my shooting motion, just kind of rewiring it from the start to make it more fluid. And I went and talked to him. I was like, listen, I'm going to be honest. I got 2, maybe 3 years left of playing left. I'm not going to change my shooting motion just to use it for 2 years. I'm not even going to have it mastered by 2 years. So he was like, well, you just try to do what's comfortable and we'll build around that. And so what always stayed comfortable with me was shooting righty sidearm, because that's always like what I would practice, just like in the backyard or at the field, never really doing that strict overhand stuff, which I really should have done. I think that's why my left hand is so much more consistent, because you have to think about it whenever you're doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but now I've been working on that, dropping my hands, bringing them up, and now I'm able to go overhand when I need to, but I still like to go sidearm and kind of underhand because I feel like it's a little bit more consistent for me.
Well, and every different variation is a different tool in your tool belt as well. So whether it's sidearm, whether it's low to low, low to high, whatever it happens to be, or just straight over the top. I mean, every shot, every form has a purpose and a reason for using it. So I think that's really important for a lot of these younger players to understand. Like, yeah, it is fun to shoot sidearm, and it's also not the best shot for every situation. It's going to work sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, well, that sort of leads right into it. I mean, yeah, did you have something you wanted to add there, Kieran? Okay. No, that's fine. Yeah. It's I mean, that's how this goes. Sometimes we just kind of forget what the next step is, but
Yep.
yeah, so we talked at the beginning, you mentioned your coaching at your previous school, and that let me just say that school in Colorado, we won't necessarily, I don't know if you named it already or not, but I won't name it again, but
I think I did.
it's a beautiful campus. I mean, you nailed it down. They had the major that you wanted. That coach was one of the first ones to reach out to you, and on the initial visit and all those subsequent visits and phone calls and text messages, he was very responsive, and that was something you were looking for.
Yeah.
And then when you were there, talk to me a little bit, or talk to everyone about kind of what happened and what are some of the red flags that let me just back up and say some people thrive under a coaching environment like that. Some people do. I mean, that's just how it works. You are not that type of player. You thrive under more of a constructive format, I would say. But I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Go ahead and say what you were going to say there.
Yeah, well, so the thing is with my old coach is he was super responsive and all that in the beginning, and that was really good for me because I was doing my part and I was trying to reach out to all sorts of coaches to all of these different schools, and we visited a couple of them. And they were like the same as Adams State, like beautiful campuses, really cool environments to be in, but just hearing back from coaches and being in constant communication is really something that was important. So whenever my old coach was always super responsive and stuff like that, it was just a big green flag for me to go there. But whenever I got there, there's like this shift that happens whenever a coach goes from recruiting mode into coach mode. And that's kind of what I saw is like he didn't really take the game super seriously. The team didn't really take the game super seriously. And so it was more kind of that, and also there wasn't any coaching staff. We had our head coach who was there full time, and he was more of a defensive guy. He always worked with the defense, and that was it. Like, we had an offensive coordinator when I first got there, and he left immediately to go to a different school because he knew that there was no room to grow there. And then the head coach's son would be there like half the times for us on practice because he played there. So he would be there trying to help us, but he wouldn't even do anything. He would literally suit up and practice with us when he's been graduated for a couple years. So it was just something that I was like, I don't know what's right for a coach to be doing, but it's not that. And so
it wasn't right for you. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. And so coming to NNU, it was the same green flag with Coach Blanchard, our current head coach. And what was really interesting to me that had never happened before is he reached out to me. So I was playing summer league just because I wanted to stay loose and keep playing because I had full intentions of returning to Adams State after the summer. And I was talking to a lot of guys, and one of them, Audie, he was playing in men's league and he was a coach, so I was talking to him a lot. And then a lot of the players too, they were playing in men's league. So I got to talk to them a lot. And so I guess they were talking to TB about me. And so he reached out to me. He texted me on Instagram just out of the blue. And so I responded and set up a meeting, started talking. And I was like, okay, this is something I maybe want to do after the fall semester. And then my buddy Josh, he was also thinking about maybe leaving Adams State because we were there together. And so he was like, dude, if we're going to do this, we can't wait till the fall semester. We have to do this now. And looking back, it was the best thing that he could have said because I know that if I was at Adams State during the fall and tried to come to NNU in the spring, come onto a loaded roster that's trying to make a national championship run, it's going to be hard for me to play and it's going to be hard for me to connect with these guys. So I think it was hard for me to know what coach was the best for me because I didn't really have any great coaches throughout high school. I mean, you were obviously on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not name dropping anyone. We all know who I'm talking about, but the high school coach, it just wasn't great. And there's not really something I can put my finger on, but I think he was trying to teach the game too much and not trying to teach the players, which is something that I really value. And so having a larger coaching staff at NNU that's able to work individually with guys on what they need to work on has been really beneficial.
Yeah. And let me just say this also. I know exactly what you're talking about. And that particular coach, he has really come a long way, and he genuinely wants to improve, and he's really focused on making that happen.
Well, so I'm glad to hear that.
What you experienced, I mean, there's still going to be a little of that just because that's the person, but also to his credit, he has made a lot of changes, and I think Kieran can attest to this, that some of those changes have been very positive. Kieran, you want to jump in and help me out here?
Yeah, I mean, from a player standpoint, my first couple years at West Florida, it was more of a, like, I was coming onto a team that was already really good. So we weren't as much he wasn't as much teaching the game, and instead just like refining the players and making like the best possible offense, of course. And then after sophomore season, during sophomore season, after most of those players had left, it was kind of just like everything at random, because we were still trying to do the offense from the year before, and that wasn't really working. And so then into junior year, we moved more into a coaching, like practices were more learning instead of refining. And then senior year, it was all about like just perfecting everything that we were doing as like a team and as everything. And as a coach, I mean, he was growing every year, because I know my sophomore year it wasn't the best.
Yep.
Junior year also wasn't amazing, but senior year, I remember one practice, and my buddy Tanner, of course you know him. He calls the captains to get there early so we can talk to him. And all I remember is him like looking at both of us and saying like, what can I do to get better? Like asking from a player's perspective to like try and help the coaching get better, which was like, that honestly like shook me. I was kind of speechless for a couple minutes, but after that, it seemed to just get better and better. Hearing that he's doing better than last year it's amazing to hear.
Yeah, I think that's important to note that, even as adults, as coaches, we are far from perfect. We are still learning what works. And one thing I know for sure, after coaching multiple sports and coaching lacrosse now, I'm in my 10th year basically of coaching lacrosse, I will say there's so much more to learn, and I will guarantee that every single player learns differently. There are some sort of big techniques that work overall, but every player learns differently. And there are some times when, you have to take a kid and get in his face, and some players play really well when they're angry or frustrated. And we saw that a couple of times. And so as a coach, we have to figure out, hey, what's going to work to sort of motivate this player? And other players, kind of like both of you guys play way better when you're relaxed,
Yeah, that's something that we've been working on a lot. That's something that he has had to adjust to really heavily. And that's literally the feedback he gets after every practice is too tense.
Yeah, just relax. Remember, it's a game. And remember, mistakes are part of the game. And it's like, the team that makes the fewer mistakes is going to win. And that's not even really the answer. It's the team that recovers better from their mistakes is going to win. So you're accepting the fact that it's not going to be perfect. And I think that's huge. So I appreciate what you guys said about coaches and coaching staff.
I'll say one thing for Coach is he had no problem getting people up and getting people ready to play. And I'll also say during the fall, whenever we would do our conditioning, the military days where he would bring up his brother-in-law who he was in the military, right? And he was a cancer survivor, right? And those days were always the coolest, because you knew going into it that it's like, we got to do all these workouts. Like, it's going to be tough, but like what was really cool like the best thing about them is all the stories in the in-betweens. Whenever we're all recovering, we're all breathing heavily, and he starts preaching, and it's like a 5 or 10 minute thing, and we're like so locked into this one guy just telling us his story, and it was really cool, and it gives a lot of perspective whenever you're just a high school athlete doing a fall conditioning day, you know.
Yep. So, wow, this definitely took a different path than what I was expecting, but I like kind of where we're at and where we're going with this. But I really want to come back to you guys specifically. So, in your high school days, what kind of things, and this is something for, parents whose kids are considering playing in college, or some of those players, even 7th, 8th graders, maybe freshmen, sophomores, whatever, they're considering playing in college. What kind of things should they be doing, based on your experience to get to where you are right now? What kind of things do you wish you kind of did more of? What do you wish you did less of? Or, I mean, it could be anything. What do you think?
So the most important thing that I feel is like you have to do if you want to go to college to play lacrosse, you have to reach out to these coaches, no matter like if that's an email, if that's going to a prospect day, if that's going to a showcase, no matter what it is, letting these coaches know that you are there is the most important thing to do for a high schooler looking to play in college. They do. They'll come back. I had one coach who was reaching out before I was committing to NNU, who reached out to me beginning of junior year, right when the recruiting window opened. And it kind of went the wrong way with him, but he came back. He remembered.
Well, you're still getting emails.
I know. Yeah.
You're still getting, I'm getting them too. You're still getting emails from coaches.
Yeah.
So reach out to the coaches. That's good. Now, Peanut, would you say reach out to the head coach, reach out to the assistant coach? Like, who would you probably go to?
I would go to your position, your coordinator. So if you're playing midi, go to the offensive coordinator. If you're playing defensive midi, go to the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator, because we've had a couple guys who came in that were looking to play offensive midi, but instead they're just such a good fit for defensive midi, and they do really well on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now with one of our high school players. He came in as he was going to play attack. That's kind of where he'd been coached to play. And I tell you, he is a football player, and he hits perfectly. Legal contact every time. Nobody can get past him. And so we've switched him over to defensive midi, and I'm telling you, he's going to be unstoppable. Like, no one's going to be able to get past him. It's ridiculous.
Knowing how to hit is so valuable. I think since I stopped playing football so early, I never really knew how to properly hit someone. And so it's still tough because you're facing people who are literally the same size as you. Like, it's not going to work the same as before,
Yeah.
So knowing how to hit properly and knowing how to throw your weight around is so valuable.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid of that contact, and you absolutely have to get in there, and you have to make proper contact. Yep. And you have to understand, there's a chance this could hurt if I do it wrong, or if I miss, or if he hits me. Like, you just have to own it and move on. And so you just pick yourself up and go. Is there anything that you guys did that you were like, that's kind of a waste of time in preparing for college?
Yeah, every time I went to the field, all I did was shoot from 10 yards out straight in front of the goal. That's definitely...
That was a waste of time?
That was a waste of time. My time would have been way better spent shooting on the run or just trying different footwork type of stuff.
Okay.
That would have been way better for me. Literally all the goals I score are on the run, except for 1-2 weeks ago. That's it.
Yeah. What about you, Kieran?
Kind of the same, but talking to him after his freshman year, going into his sophomore year, he was kind of helping me with what to do. So junior year, every time I'd go to the field, it'd be 10-yard step downs, only right hand, just trying to do that. But, after him coaching me up a little bit, the field sessions started to look a little bit different, trying to get defenders out there, working on footwork. Most of the time, getting a goalie out there. Of course, Matt, loved the guy to death. But just doing that, I feel like junior year, going to the field, just shooting right hand, just sidearm, right hand, top right corner was just Waste of time, could have been spent doing different drills.
So if you were to tell somebody who's maybe is a high school player, what would you tell them? Basically, hey, don't go out to the field and just shoot a buckle of balls, right hand over the top or right hand sidearm. Challenge yourself. Yeah.
I would say from my experience, from the first time you step on a field in college lacrosse, no matter where it is, you're going to be asked to dodge a lot. And it might, like, it seems like kind of crazy because you could be in high school, especially for me and Peanut, whenever we were playing attack. We're not like dodging the most. We're more feeling the field out, trying to find soft spots. That was kind of what both of us were better at. And so,
absolutely. Yeah. Look for the dead fish.
yeah. And so going to Adams State immediately, I'm having to try to dodge on these people who are way better than me because it's hard to think about because you feel like you're the best person on your high school team, and then you go to a place where everyone else is the best on their high school team and they're really good at playing lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you're gonna have to dodge a lot. And so I'd say just keep that in mind whenever you go out there to shoot, and try to work from different angles of the goal. Try to score from everywhere on the field.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's hopefully whoever's listening to this takes that to heart and goes out to the field today or tomorrow, whenever it is next, and they challenge themselves with something new. If you're a strong right-handed player, go left-handed. If you're used to shooting stationary, try shooting on the run. If you're used to a 10-yard shot straight on looking at the goal, try something from an angle, try something on the run at an angle, try something coming from X. I mean, there's so many different options and so many different
variables. Get a guy
variables.
out there to feed you the ball so you can. What's another big thing is whenever you're one of those attackmen or you're an idiot that kind of floats through the middle or you're cutting pretty aggressively, being able to catch the ball whenever you're cutting is so important, and it goes overlooked. Yeah. And it's really hard to focus on catching the ball, man right in front of your face who's going to light you up as soon as you touch the ball, and you still have to get a shot on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we tell them. First look's always the goal. Has to be. You can't win if you don't score. Can't score if you don't shoot. You can't shoot if you're not looking. I mean, you got to be able to see it. So awesome, guys. Well, this has been super good. I want to wrap up with one final question. What's your future hold for you? What does your college lacrosse future hold?
A lot of success these upcoming years. Hopefully making the jump to NCAA Division II.
When is that supposed to happen? A year or two?
It's coming in after this year. This is our last year of MCLA, and then we'll be in NCAA.
Cool. That'll be fun. That'll be a challenge for sure.
Just continuing the success that, of course, he had last year, that we're going to have this year, and just keeping that going forward, just pushing on and on, just to be the best. Just really trying to earn it every day.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same stuff. We're pushing for a national championship run this year. We ended the year as the 8th seed last year. A little bit of a bad taste in our mouth.
That's awesome.
No, it's good. We started off the year, I think, unranked or ranked like 25th or 24th. Or I'm pretty sure we were unranked, though. And so, obviously, climbing from that, we knew the guys that we had. And so, climbing up was pretty good. But hoping to get this national championship under our belts before we make the jump to NCAA. We've been saying it all fall, and everyone on the team, you can tell, is extremely focused, extremely dialed in. We all know what the goal is. And then as far as NCAA is, whenever we make the jump, we know we're not going to be like the very best top of the line team as soon as we make that jump. So I think it's really about building the program, building up all these young guys that could possibly be the guys that can win the national championship at that level, and then just growing as a player and as a person in these last couple of years for me is my main priority coming up on the tail end of my lacrosse career, I guess.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys so much being willing to sit down and share that. I always, despite the fact that I have seen you from where you started, which was basically 0, up to where you are now. And I couldn't be prouder of you guys. It's always interesting to hear your perspective. And each time we talk about this, I think you share just a little bit more, which has been just really eye-opening for me. And it's really helped me personally as a coach and as a parent. So when you get that opportunity with another player or another parent or another coach, I hope you share it with them as well. All right, real quick, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
Last name Reinch_sauce on Instagram. It's probably
Reinch Sauce.
It's the best way to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I don't really have any other way to really reach out to me, but that's it.
Yeah.
Reinch_sauce. I love it.
Reinch_sauce. Mine, probably not Instagram, because if you text me and I don't follow you, I probably won't respond. My email is bkreich1@gmail.com. I check my email multiple times a day, so if anything comes through there, I'll definitely look at it, respond to it if I need to, and yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, is it okay if I, when we post this, if I drop those handles and emails in the comments so people can get a hold of you? Perfect. All right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate it so much. For everybody else out there, I hope you follow this podcast at First City Lax. We are on YouTube. You're going to find us on Instagram at First City Lax, and then on Facebook as well. If you've got something, you can email me at john@firstcitylax. It's the number one, STCITYLAX.com, and I would love to hear from you. If you want to be on the show, let me know, and we'll do our best to get you on. Miles Jones, coming for you next. All right, guys. We'll see you later. All right, guys. We'll see y'all later.
All right. Love you, Dad. Have a good one.
Love you.
If you like what you hear, drop us a like and follow wherever you downloaded this podcast from, and on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at First City Labs. Check back every week for more content. Thank you for being a part of the First City Lacrosse podcast.